Hey, what's up? I'm DJ Sixsmith. Welcome to Sit Down. Kylie Bunbury is here with us. The Twilight Zone, Season 2, CBS All Access. Kylie, how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing very well. How are you doing?
I'm great. And I'm even better because I watched your episode of The Twilight Zone this morning. And it takes you into a whole different world. And especially with your episode, it's you, it's Topher Grace. There's reincarnation. There's a time loop. There's a lot of cool and interesting stuff going on. What was it actually like being in this world?
For me, it was right when I read the script, I thought it was so interesting because it read more so like a play. You know, it's just two characters going through a museum for the whole time. So me and Topher had a lot of material to learn. We approached it with, we approached it in this way where we wanted it to come off as this sort of like this sweet, cute, romantic comedy that takes a turn. So we wanted people to really invest in these two characters and kind of root for them in terms of maybe a relationship blooming of some kind. The experience was amazing. We shot in Vancouver, which is definitely one of my favorite places to film. And we got to film in a real museum. So all of those masks, a lot of them, a lot of the stuff in the museum, it's real. So the museum really added a certain level of richness to the episode. But it was really fun. We also went in chronological order, which helped with the buildup of the creepiness. But it was such a joy, and such a joy to work with Jen and to work with Topher, who obviously is incredible and is really good at playing this type of role. He kind of did this same sort of character in Black Mirror as well. Yeah. He's making some really interesting choices, and for me, that's why I was like, okay, I definitely want to do this.
Yeah, I love roles where you see actors just stretched into different places that they've never been before. And even with this show, you mentioned it's like, yeah, there's this little romance building, and then like, boom, right on a dime, you're changing into a different emotion. So what's it like when you make that shift? Because suddenly your character is a lot more defensive. Your character is getting ready to fight. Like, that's not easy to just jump right into, even if it is chronological order.
Yeah, I think the key in those moments when it comes to acting is just to be very present, to really listen and respond in that moment, in that imaginary circumstance. So for me, I was just taking in what was going on in that moment as much as possible, and just shifting with the oddness of him, you know, saving me from getting hit by a bottle or the gum dropping on the floor, just kind of, being more aware. Because the whole episode is about toxic masculinity. It's just sort of set in this sci-fi groundhoggy type of way. So it was more about just picking up those subtle red flag clues that I think a lot of women and men have experienced in the start of a potential relationship.
Yeah, it's really important you say that because a lot of men may not pick that up right away, but like it's very clear that toxic masculinity is a huge part of this one, especially too because like Mark as Topher Grace, like he thinks he's done enough to win your character over, and it's like that's not how this thing works, especially like when you have no idea what's actually happened, right?
Right. Yeah, it's one of those things where, and my character says it in the episode, just because I've said that I've loved you once, you think that you're owed it now.
Right.
So it's really sort of exploring, it's discovering that Mark himself can't control his world or the people around him because of his selfishness and his lack of awareness, so it's really just diving deep into, I guess what would it be? It's just really diving into the toxic masculinity aspect, or just any sort of entitlement, really. Feeling like you're owed something, or just because you love someone, it does not mean that person now needs to love you back.
Yeah, I think the amazing thing about the show is like in the span of a 40-minute episode, like there's multiple layers of just that point, and then there's multiple layers throughout the entire series, which I think is really cool. So when you think about Jordan Peele as a creator, like you've worked with some really interesting people. What was it about the world he created with the Twilight Zone and even just this episode that really just blew your mind in general?
For one, I think Jordan Peele is a very unique genius. He has an acute eye for what is relevant today, but then sort of expands on that in ways that we've never seen before, you know, with Get Out and with Us. And what I gravitated toward was the fact that, you know, getting to work on something that has Jordan Peele attached to it in any way. But also I've always been a big fan of the Twilight Zone. I even have the DVD set of the 19 all-time favorite classics.
That's awesome.
And I like sci-fi myself. So I just wanted to be a part of it because of I mean, it's the Twilight Zone. You know, like,
Yep.
not going to say no to the Twilight Zone, and certainly not going to say no when Jordan Peele's attached to it. And he's, you know, he's really has set the bar, I think, in terms of artistry.
My wife took a master's class that looked at Black Mirror and Twilight Zone, the old Twilight Zone episodes. And it's just fascinating to see, like, even decades ago, how some of this stuff still applies to what we're talking about today.
It's unbelievable. I mean, I was just thinking about, you know, the episodes. What are my favorite episodes from the classics? Just looking at, you know, The Invaders or The Eye of the Beholder,
Yeah.
Mirror Image. I can't even believe that they were talking about things like this back in the 50s and the 60s, and it applies today pretty heavily. Also, people just want people. I feel like sometimes people with the whole escapism thing, they want to go into some unknown territories and explore worlds unknown.